Hey kids, you're about to listen to a comedy podcast. That means that none of this is medical advice. If you need medical advice or medical care, please contact your doctor.
Welcome to the Jock podcast featuring Dr. London Smith, the only podcast completely decentralized on the Jock blockchain. Introducing your host, Dr. London Smith.
Hello, and welcome to the Jock podcast, where we discuss fitness and health and how to incorporate our modern understanding of science and medicine into our daily lives, but without it being so boring. I'm your host, drlondonsmith.com. I'd like to begin by apologizing to our listeners. We have received some feedback about the excessive amount of technical medical terms that I've been using, such as tardive dyskinesia and New Year's resolutions. So I will try to temper my terminology to a simpler one in the future. Here to help with that is our producer, Cameron.
Hey, Dr. London. And we should welcome all of the new listeners that we have this year.
Yes. And it's
new year, and we kind of every year we sort of audit the audience, look at the demographics and stuff. The demographics of the show we've talked about it plenty, have changed over time. Started out mostly going after
6-year-olds.
Yeah, maybe going after is not the way I should put that. But, anyway.
Marketing is targeted towards,
the marketing targeted toward, and then it sort of flip-flopped on accident. I guess maybe it's sort of like a horseshoe theory thing where like really, really old people and kids are kind of the same. Because then our demo switched entirely to elderly people. Well, Dr. Lennon, I just ran the numbers. Our audience is 100% people between the ages of 45 and 55.
Wow.
That's
okay.
it.
That's all. Okay, that's...
I know, like, the phrase middle age is sort of ill-defined, but this is very specifically 45 to 55.
Okay, so it's so this is kind of strange. We actually have people who could maybe buy stuff if we were to get a sponsor.
Yeah, I mean, again, that part doesn't seem to have changed much. Like our average income of listeners or ability to read and stuff like that. That statistic, you can look at the chart here. So you can see that line remains the same.
The illiteracy is still significant. Okay.
Yeah.
And that's, unfortunately, this is a medical education. It's not a, reading, writing, arithmetic. So, but we'll work with what we have.
Yeah.
And go forward. That's really exciting. That's going into the new year. We have this new demographic to kind of aim things towards a little bit.
And isn't the past cool?
Oh yeah, the
80s and stuff.
Yes.
Yeah, like the nice music.
That was so cool back then.
Yeah. Is that enough?
I guess, right?
Okay,
I think that's it.
No, that was great. Okay. Also, so that's our producer Cameron. Also with us is
Did you know the host?
Isn't the past cool? Like the 80s and stuff.
Yeah, like the nice music, synth. Yeah.
Like the 80s and stuff. 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 Like the 80s and stuff.
And later, Cameron tells us we can expect a special guest.
That's right, Dr. London. Maybe the special guest will be Bono, who is U2, really in that new wave movement era, really kind of popped off and they were so good.
Okay. So
Right?
it
I mean,
could be.
I don't know much 45 to 55-year-old stuff is the issue.
Yeah, I know, but just advertising for the lead singer in a major band. Okay. Anyway, but before we move on, I would like to address a bit of listener feedback. So this note, okay, this doesn't have a return. So I don't know who it came from, but I think they're just context wise. I think they're talking to you, Cameron.
Oh, well, no. Turn it upside down.
Okay. Well,
yeah. Now you can see who it's from.
Well, it's a big X.
Yeah.
Okay.
Again, do we need to talk about the literacy of our listenership?
I guess the note might also answer some of those questions. So the note reads, quote, "What kind of bees produce milk?" End quote. Yeah. So I thought, well, I'm impressed that they got that written out.
It is like printed off. It's like printed off and then taped on there. So it's probably just like voice to text, right?
Sure. I was just trying to give him credit. But yeah, no, it probably was just a computer. Anyway, so your bee farm, Cameron, has that been working?
I mean,
to get the milk?
Ooh, I feel like working is such a loaded phrasing.
Okay.
Is it swarming? Is it swarming with lots of bees? Absolutely, yes. 100%.
Because I know your big problem for a while was buckets. You kept saying, I don't have enough buckets, because you were so sure that you were going to milk these bees.
Oh, yeah.
And
are you asking if I got enough buckets? Yeah. Oh, hell yeah, I've got enough buckets.
Okay.
Have you not been to my house lately?
No, I've seen. Well,
it's just buckets. It's all buckets.
It made the papers. I know, but so I'm wondering now. Well, okay. Well, I guess to answer this question first, because you were very particular about all aspects of this. What kind of bees are these that produce the milk? Are they a special breed?
Yeah. This is the Philadelphia dairy bee.
Okay.
This is actually where Philadelphia cream cheese comes from.
Okay. And so have you been able to milk them, get the cheese?
Again, this is a loaded question. This goes back to you saying, is this working, quote unquote? Again, lots of bees are swarming around, and there's just an uncontrollable cloud of bees inside my home.
Right, okay,
Beyond that, does it work? Yes, if I wanted a cloud swarm of bees going from room to room in my house, then yes, it is absolutely working.
Okay.
Is that what you mean?
I was talking more about the milk production. Is that have you filled any buckets with milk? I guess does that make sense as a question?
Well, it's not like I can check every bucket. There's too many.
Okay. But you aren't, I guess. Have you tried milking them yourself?
Again, the word "tried" is just so loaded, Dr.
Okay.
Lemon. The bees the bees have autonomy. Like they can make their own decisions.
Okay, so
you're wanting me to like control them and like turn them into slaves, it sounds like, which is terrible.
Okay, so you're more of a hands-off dairy farmer.
Yes.
Okay. Well, no, now I know. I didn't realize that it's not necessarily the conventional approach. But then again, I've never even, known that bees can be milked for the milk. So, that's a learning opportunity for me.
What's the religious belief that Thomas Jefferson had, that like God made everything and then just went completely hands off? It's a deism.
Yeah, that might be it.
It's basically that, but for farming. And again, I think the word farming is a very loaded question. I like to stick with swarming.
So I guess it's dairy deism as opposed to religious deism.
Yes.
Okay.
In that I consider myself the deity of this universe, which is my house, and I'm sort of the lord of this swarm of very, very angry and loud bees.
Okay. Well, okay. So to that listener, he has the bees, and yes, they are the Philadelphia dairy bees. I guess that's the answer. And thank you for listening. We're very grateful for these. Just because you're illiterate doesn't mean there's a problem.
No, we love our listeners exactly the way they are.
No, and that's why this is a listening thing. You don't have to read the whole time. So anyway, thank you to those listeners. But now for today's medical topic, celiac disease. Celiac disease is one of the most common types of gastrointestinal malabsorption, and it's known as a gluten sensitivity enteropathy. So these patients with celiac disease, their intestinal tracts, they have a poor reaction to gluten. Patients may present with a stool that is oily, greasy, floating, and foul smelling.
Oh, okay. So Dr. London, this new demographic we have hates like gluten-free stuff. They like pretty much the only joke they make to each other is, "Oh, you got a gluten-free soy vanilla latte, vegan impossible."
Okay.
It's just they just sort of list stuff like that. And so sort of even implying that, gluten allergies might actually be real and maybe some people actually should avoid gluten is
okay.
going to be damaging to our brain.
So I guess I'll try to tiptoe around it when the time comes to get too specific about that.
Okay.
But so for celiac disease, you'll bear in mind that chronic pancreatitis, tropical sprue, and Whipple disease, all of these can have similar presentations to that of celiac disease. So if they have this kind of terrible, this foul-smelling poop, it could be from something else besides a gluten allergy. So anyway, these should all be on your differential when it comes to such symptoms.
Okay, our audience did respond well to that.
Okay.
These seem to be mostly people with very stinky poops.
Yeah.
I think just the way
how
boards
enthusiastic
are sort of lighting up right now. Yeah.
Okay, so this fat malabsorption that's present in all of those, it means that patients may become deficient in fat-soluble vitamins such as A, D, E, and K, and thus they can have symptoms for each of those deficiencies. So that can be hypocalcemia and osteoporosis from lack of vitamin D, bleeding and easy bruising from lack of vitamin K, and anemia with hypersegmented neutrophils and neuropathy in the vitamin B12 deficiency. So celiac disease specifically is associated with thyroiditis, vitiligo, pernicious anemia, and type 1 diabetes. Also, celiac disease can give a rash known as dermatitis herpetiformis in 10% of cases, and it's named that because it looks like a herpes infection. So,
okay, our guys really seem to like that they have. It seems they're very excited to have an excuse for
the herpes.
If they have a herpes infection, they can say, "Oh no, I think it's actually something else."
They think that's my gluten allergy kicking in, but it's just herpes.
Yes, yeah.
Okay, so maybe they're coming around on the idea of a gluten allergy.
Well, I think it is herpes. They're just sort of now into the idea of blaming it on gluten.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying.
So they still think it's fake.
Okay.
But that they're now getting in on the scam, I think.
Okay. Yeah, I don't.
So they are coming around in a way, but maybe not the way that you are wanting.
Yeah. So an important way to distinguish celiac disease from chronic pancreatitis is by remembering that, unlike in chronic pancreatitis, iron deficiency may be seen in celiac disease because iron needs an intact bowel wall to be absorbed, and celiac disease can prevent that. So iron doesn't need pancreatic enzymes to be absorbed. So look for iron deficiency anemia in celiac disease. Unique tests for celiac disease include anti-tissue transglutaminase, and that will typically be the first test, but that can have false negatives, and IgA deficiency. Other tests include anti-endomysial antibody and IgA anti-gliadin antibody. The most accurate test for celiac disease is a small bowel biopsy. That's literally cutting off some tissue from the small bowel, and that can show a flattening of the villi. Bowel biopsy is essential in celiac disease because you want to exclude lymphoma. So, but anyway, treatment for celiac disease is a gluten-free diet.
Oh wow, sorry. Our audience hated the excluding lymphoma for some reason. I can't.
Okay,
make
how did they feel about the?
But look at them. Look at their comments. They hate it. They hate that you said that.
Right after that, I said the treatment for this disease is a gluten-free diet, and I'm impressed that didn't catch them. But I guess maybe they were just So
I think they were distracted,
I guess that's a win.
I guess.
Okay.
Oh, now they're all, you can see in the chat. You have soy latte. Oh, you want a vanilla, gluten-free,
Frappa cappuccino. They're all
gluten. Frappa kappa, like a gluten, like a impossible. You want to beyond, soy tofu.
They're going on and
see
on.
That's the whole chat now. I don't think they're listening to the show anymore. I think they're just gonna
riffing
just
on
sort
that.
of stick with that.
Well, I'm done with teaching them this, so I guess we can move on from there.
I mean, that's your choice if you want to.
Okay. All right, Cameron, you said that we have a guest today. Is that right?
That's right, Dr. Linden.
Okay, so I'm reading the note for the guest. Well, hello, my name is Dr. LondonSmith.com, and this is our producer, Cameron. I'm reading here. So, Cameron, you misspelled doctor.
Okay.
So
is that relevant to this discussion or this podcast that needs to be like on blast? Is that?
I feel like you should know it by now, but whatever. We'll start. Hello there. What was your name?
Hi, Dr. Andrew Minutiae.
Right. Okay. So, just call you Dokter Minutiae. What?
Sure.
How would you? Okay.
Doctor is fine. You can call me Andy. People do. Dr. Minutiae is fine.
Okay. Well, so doctor would be, I feel like, because that could be either of us. So that's.
That would be, I guess that's confusing. Although
I can't imagine anyone, because he wouldn't be referring to himself if he's trying to address someone. I'm never going to just call you doctor.
I guess that is what I was referring to. Well, in the chat, all of our 45 to 55-year-old listeners as well.
No,
that makes sense.
They haven't stopped. They've moved on to like, I identify as a helicopter jokes. That's another one they really like, and that's the chat now.
Okay.
Oh, I was trying to figure out what all these people are chatting on this screen. I can't figure out what they were talking about here. Okay.
Yeah. Well, and
so this isn't addressed to me yet. Whatever they're chatting about,
I think they are very focused on themselves now. I think they're sort of just cracking themselves up.
Okay. Good.
Okay.
I think there might be confusion in that when we're talking to you, Dr. Smith, we're referring to you, that it's a title for you and it's a name for me. So that may be the confusion factor.
So Cameron, you didn't misspell doctor then?
How did he spell it?
I spelled it DAUGHKTER.
I don't blame you. I get that a lot. It's actually simply DOKTER.
Oh.
Okay.
But yeah, it is. Some people will abbreviate it to DR period. And it's just, I mean, it's not my title. I'm not a doctor.
Okay.
But I am a doctor in that's my name.
I guess just as a little side question, do you get that kind of misspelling like Cameron did whenever you go to coffee shops, whatever?
I've gotten something like that. He had more vowels than I'm used to seeing, but it seemed very, very close. Sometimes people will spell daughter and they'll think that's my name too, which was very close to Cameron's spelling. So
yeah, that's just what I assumed it was. Because most doctors are daughters.
Yes.
Yeah, is that true?
I think so.
That sounds like I'm not sure where you're getting that statistic from.
Okay. Well, he's poring over his stats today, so you might be all in your head, Cameron.
Yeah.
We got a lot of demographics that we're reading over. But anyway, so Dr. Minutiae.
Yes.
Can you tell us about yourself? Why are you here on the show?
Yes. Well, I've got a new book out. I'm a nanotechnologist.
Okay. Wow.
Amateur.
Okay.
Yeah.
I guess. Okay, so for our listeners, he did the
air quotes.
Yeah, for amateur, which I don't know what that means really, because
does that mean you're actually professional?
It's sort of, how do I explain this? I do the air quotes with my my coworkers, just because they recognize that as being, oh, he's now being his nanotechnology person, as opposed to his grocery stock person, which is normally where I'm talking to them.
So you sort of live in two different worlds. You've got your nanotech life, and then you've got your, sounds like grocery stock.
They're actually very close together, which makes it convenient. Makes it very convenient.
Oh yeah.
But so I'm a amateur. I'm not professionally trained, but I just have a keen interest in nanotechnology and always have ever since I was a child.
Oh,
you have a keen interest in, is this just you reading about it, or are you actually, what are you doing that you consider?
Well, it started out as sort of the philosophical side of nanotechnology.
Sure.
But then there's no way not to get drawn into the technical part of it.
The philosophical side is whether or not like nanobots should be in me.
For me, there is no question. They should be. We all should have nanobots inside of us. It will make life much, much easier. But I understand that there's some, concern and consternation around that. So, I usually approach the subject very cautiously with people. But that aside, as I said, you kind of can't, at least I couldn't resist the allure of being drawn into the actual technical side of making nanotechnology work and creating elements of the technology to experiment on myself and friends.
So have you made nanobots? Like you have working nanobots?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Okay.
What are they?
I was for a second thinking you were just like a researcher or something, but it sounds like, I mean, you have some in your body right now? You're using yourself as your own test subject?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it wouldn't be fair for me to go, I tried to get a deal with the local prison system, but they just kind of booted me out. They said, no, I don't think the world's ready for this yet. Like I said, I try it on myself and friends. The friends don't always know that I'm trying it out on them.
Sure.
Because I need a control, I mean, if they know about it, they behave differently.
Right.
So,
okay. So you get a randomized, like a double blind kind of study where they signed up for having something done.
Yes. Well, they don't sign up really. I mean, we sit down, we have coffee, and basically every other person that I sit down and have coffee with, I either give them the placebo nanobots or I give them the real nanobots.
Okay.
It could be something as simple as getting your co-host a soda and just sort of putting something in there for one of your experiments.
Exactly.
Okay. Well, this, I guess, Cameron, I do have a follow-up question for you, but first, Dr. Minutiae, I'm sorry, you said you have a placebo nanobot that you give?
Sure.
So is that just garbage?
Or is that a functional bot that just doesn't do
it just hangs out?
It's not programmed. It's an unprogrammed nanobot.
Okay, so it does just sort of chill. That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
They just go in there and sort of just hang out with each other.
Sometimes they'll multiply. If I accidentally, asked the same friend to coffee again, and I introduce the nanobot again, and then all of a sudden he's got, several thousand of them swirling through his system or her system. I mean,
and that's the placebo one.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
So
they colonize with the placebo ones. And
no. I just introduce a lot of them. Because I mean, one nanobot's not going to it's not going to do dick. I mean, it's just one little tiny robot. Yeah. So you need to put thousands of them in there in the hopes that some of them are going to survive the incredibly harsh. I mean, Dr. Smith, you understand the inside of the body is incredibly harsh to certain outside
stomach
elements.
Acid. Yeah,
absolutely. White cells, all these things are constantly in it on the attack.
And so I've talked about before how the way Dr. London operates is he goes, ew, 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 because you do find the human body so disgusting.
Oh, it is disgusting.
Yeah, you say it makes you want to throw up. Sometimes you do throw up into the open wound or whatever.
Wow.
Well, that's why you have this is about, I'm sorry to make this about me, but like that is why you have good assistants. You want to get someone there with a quick bucket. Like,
oh yeah,
that's just part of it.
Also, I guess the mask is a delaying tactic, right? I mean, it kind of keeps it, gives you an extra second or two.
kind of funnels it just in a different direction.
Oh, well, Dr. London usually wears like the Lana Del Rey like beaded mask that doesn't really do anything. That's typically what he
You
does.
say it doesn't do anything.
It sparkles.
You've seen
yeah,
it.
yeah.
Yeah.
It shines and
You've seen it.
yeah.
I bet it's pretty attractive, actually.
Oh yeah. Oh, whenever I go into surgery, everyone looks.
Yeah, so it does do something, quite frankly.
In fact, people call after me. Like people look, people really notice.
Yeah,
especially the admin. They've really noticed. They've sent me emails about it.
Mm.
And I've been kind of suspended because of it. As far as I know, I don't read the whole email because I'm busy.
No.
But
usually a lot of that stuff is just boilerplate. They just kind of slap it on in the office. Doesn't really mean anything.
Yeah.
So I never read that stuff either.
Yeah. Plus, there's a doctor shortage.
Anything below the first line in an email, I consider the signature.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And I'm not going to read everyone's long signature. It's just like, Star Wars quotes or whatever. That's I'm not interested in that.
Well, funny, that kind of brings the conversation around to you were asking about people signing and stuff like that. I do have them sign like a simple note, and I do put a lot of sort of boilerplate information in there none of them have the time to really or interest in reading. And then I put all sort of the really important things that get me off the hook legally way at the bottom.
Okay, so you do give them something that's maybe putting this at least into a gray area ethically.
Oh, yeah. No, very little of this is actually actionable in a court of law once they've signed that paper.
Okay, and they just they're just out for coffee, really.
Well, they're friends. They're friends. I just go, don't bother. You don't have to read that. It's just standard boilerplate. Don't worry.
Yeah. Okay, and you're the doctor, I guess.
Do you even say what it's for, or do you just say, "Hey, just sign it. Sign this"?
Different things. Sometimes it's like a petition for the neighborhood, like trying to get the parking permits, or trying to get them to change the hours for street cleaning, stuff like that.
And the trick there is, because you don't have to lie to them, it really can be a petition for something like that.
Absolutely.
There's a lot of other stuff that happens with it.
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
Okay.
This is a lot of the stuff that sometimes when Dr. London is signing autographs, or maybe like I need a signature for this podcast thing or whatever. There might be other stuff there.
Interesting. So this is something you do, Cam.
Well, yeah, I mean, this is just legal documents.
Sure.
Well, so this does, and I'm sorry because I do want to find out about your book, Dokter Minutiae. But so, Cameron, this is twice you've brought up comparing these, at best, gray area ethics, comparing it to your own practices with me to normalize it. I gotta say, it doesn't sound good. It doesn't sound ethically sound.
Well, then, okay, so it's not ethically sound. What do you want me to do about that?
Well, don't give me things to sign unless I know fully what they are.
Okay, well then read
the
sheet.
Kind of not to sort of steer the conversation a little bit here, but what you're talking about, Dr. Smith, is perfect because one of the bots that I've been working on is about involuntary actions and things like that. And if what Cameron is doing is something that you find either offensive or something behavior you'd like him to stop, this particular line of bots I'm working on is something that can be introduced into his system. And with some very simple programming, he will just stop that particular behavior and he will be unaware of it.
Okay. So does it go to the brain then? Or
it goes to the brain. It goes to if he's like signing things or having you sign things, it goes to the arms and the hands, everything that's used in the process of doing that. And the beautiful thing is, like if you said, we got done with the show and you said, I'd like to kind of give that a try, the bot would also wipe any memory he would have of this conversation right now taking place. So he wouldn't even know that his behavior was being modified.
Are you saying you have the technology to make anyone pick their nose anytime you want?
You know what? It's part of a prank line that I've got, which is great. Wow. I do, the old famous hypnotist cluck like a chicken thing. So I can do that.
I don't know if you know what you have here, because if you could make everyone just like constantly pick their nose, you can get them fired from jobs. you can get them to like lose relationships and friendships. You can do a lot of destruction.
Well, it's not me. These aren't things I want to do, but I do want to make this technology available.
Oh, I want to do those things.
Then I can make this available to you, but I consider myself to be more of a neutral agent. And I'm merely developing this technology, but I believe in good for mankind. It doesn't necessarily mean my customers believe in that, but I believe in that.
Right. And that's why no one should be able to sue you if I do something with the item you sold me.
Exactly. And both the paperwork you would sign and the nanobots I would introduce into your system would keep that from ever happening.
Wow. Man, I'm just thinking of all the possibilities of making my neighbor pick his nose all the time.
And Cameron, I do want to warn you on that. So with other stuff, whatever, with assigning documents, whatever, but picking nose is actually one of these things. Like nobody does it. So like it's one of those things. It's so unheard of. If you actually got people to do it like on video or something like that, could have big consequences.
They'll get canceled. It's gonna ruin their lives.
If
a YouTube video of my neighbor picking his nose went viral.
I know, and this is why I'm saying like maybe let's lay off it, because that's not safe.
It's just too intense. This is sort of like I'm pressing the nuke button here.
Well, this is all just hypothetical, right? I mean, Cameron, you're not really talking about wanting to get your neighbor to pick his nose just on a whim, right? I mean, we're just talking sort of.
We're just talking.
Yes,
yeah. It's just all talking. Look,
exactly.
My neighbor has something that I want to use his trampoline. He says you use it too much and you're too loud when you're on it. So I'm not allowed to use it anymore.
Oh.
I just think maybe if, I could use some of these nanobots to possibly, destroy his life, and maybe he has to sell his trampoline.
Yeah, if you feel you want to do that, we can, of course, also just modify his behavior so he suddenly enjoys the way you use his trampoline.
It just doesn't have the same appeal to me,
I understand. I think I'm beginning to sort of understand your core persona here, Cameron, in terms of how you feel about the people around you in your life.
It is important to also know that if Cameron's neighbor doesn't complain, the other neighbors will, and he's so loud on that trampoline. Like the cops get called. Is it every night?
Well, I mean, I haven't been able to use it in months.
Okay. But yeah, whatever's happening. Yeah.
But yeah.
So,
I'm going so high. I'm going so high up, Dr. London.
I know. And it's
terrifying. It is unbelievably terrifying.
Yeah.
So you're saying I'm not at the peak, at the crescendo of my jump, you're saying I'm not going to kind of scream.
I've driven by your house when this is happening with windows rolled down, and I had to get hearing aids afterwards.
I've driven by Six Flags and heard people screaming on the roller coasters, Dr. London.
Okay.
But I minded my own business.
It's not comparable. The volume anyway.
You guys seem to be highly involved in your personal lives as well as your professional lives. Is that? I don't know if that's normal for a podcast and the sort of roles you have. Maybe you're just good friends who got into this business. I don't listen. I don't want to sort of pick this.
No, we never met before doing this show. No, we both knew Dylan, DJ Dylan.
Yeah, the most. Yeah, well, he's the best DJ in town. And no, the reason I know about Cameron stuff is because I've called the cops on him, and I've driven by his house, and everyone in town knows.
Wow.
Yeah, he's so loud. But I'm sorry, Dr. Minutiae.
It's okay. It's all right.
If we could switch back to, I want to know what your book is about.
Well, I have a couple of books. My new one is Teeny Tiny Things Make a Great Big Difference.
Oh,
okay.
And it's really about sort of, I look back, it's a little bit of a historical retrospective to sort of pre-nanotechnology and when little things really started affecting people's lives. Part of this is sort of in your domain, Dr. Smith, the idea of germs, right? Germs are kind of nature's nanobots,
or like rice.
Really, if you think of rice, again, another excellent sort of example of little things that changed things a lot, right? It became this worldwide staple food.
Well, and if birds eat it, their stomachs explode.
That's right, which is why they've been outlawed in weddings in 46 states.
Yep.
You're not allowed to, throw rice at the bride and groom anymore.
You got to pick your states for your weddings.
And very
that's
carefully.
That's the kind of impact that small things can make.
That's exactly right. So that's what my book, we go back to sort of the history of man, and then follow that up to present day. And it gets into elements of big things that became small things that became big. We talk about little people and their impact on everything from culture to motion pictures and all these other elements.
Okay.
And then flea circuses, for instance. I have a whole chapter just on flea circuses.
Yeah.
The idea you have performers so small that most people couldn't see them. And did you know it turned out that most of the flea circuses were actually a scam? There were no performing fleas.
You say most, but some of them
I got a refund.
Were fully legit.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. Some of the performers actually formed unions. I mean, it was very legit. But there were some fairly nefarious characters out there that were, trying to palm off sort of spring-loaded wagons and things that would move around.
Yeah,
and say, the fleas are doing that.
These sleaze bags.
Yeah.
Some people because I've been to one of each.
Oh, okay.
Been to real flea circus.
So you can contrast and compare, and you can tell the difference right away, right? I mean, now that you've seen both.
Yeah. No. And,
oh wow. So it's like maybe seeing someone lip syncing. It's like sort of see something off.
Well, I had VIP passes to both.
Okay.
So I went backstage, and I met the fleas.
Oh,
fantastic!
You went to the meet and greet. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
And it was amazing. Like I got to meet them. I was like, oh, you're my favorite. Yeah. And you had the attitude, and I get that's part of your character, but I don't like that about you.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's
cool.
Madeline. It was at a show, but then I went to the other one, did the same thing, went to the meet and greet. There's just a guy back there saying like, yeah, so I designed this.
Right. And he's he's showing you the switches and where he pulls the stuff, right, to make the trampoline go up and down. And yeah.
I'm like, okay, so you help the fleas? And he's like, no, this is so it's fake.
It's like how the band Gorillaz tricks you into thinking that it's a bunch of cartoon characters, but it's actually just the Blur guy.
Yeah.
And he kind of scams you and tricks you, and you're like, okay, wait a second. These are supposed to be cartoon guys.
So frustrating.
Yeah, it's a scam.
Yeah. So I kind of, I mean, I don't know how controversial it is, but I kind of ripped the lid off that whole thing in the book because a lot of people have never heard about it.
I'm glad someone did. Thank you.
It was kind of high time. And then it just sort of gets into where, the state of nanotechnology today and, the rumors and the truths and things like that. People that think like, that there's nanobots in the COVID vaccine and, things like that, that just isn't so. It just isn't true.
Do you think there should be?
There could be. I don't know if there should be. I mean, they're introducing nanobots into us from so many different things now that it's almost like superfluous to put it in the COVID vaccine. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. Because it's already in like the fluoride in our water and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you name a product and chances are there's at least a couple of nanobots in there.
Ritz.
Coffee table.
Ritz, definitely. They're in a sort of state of suspension because they have to remain quite still or the crackers won't maintain their integrity. And so until they're introduced into the body, they are in sort of a state of stasis. Coffee table, interesting idea. Those would have to be introduced at the point of manufacture. So really the only coffee tables that are doing the nanobots is IKEA because you're forced to touch the pieces when you put the coffee table together, and that's how it's introduced. Usually coffee.
And then you're going to be eating the meatballs once you get to that part of the store.
Well,
using your hands.
That's the meatballs are the activation solution.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow. So this is, I'm seeing the impact here. And I guess that was more the philosophy side, that book, which once again was the
teeny tiny things make a great big
difference.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And then but you have the new one that was, I'm guessing, sort of that progression you were talking about, going from the philosophy of it to
size.
The bigger picture.
Size isn't everything.
And that's your new one.
That's the new one. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So what's that one about?
That one is about the fact that a lot of people don't realize that nanobots through their progression have certainly changed in size. And people used to think, well, the nanobot has to be a certain size to get all that programming in it. And just as we've advanced technologically as a society and as an industry, it's gotten smaller and smaller and smaller. And it's sort of like, comparing the power of your cell phone to, the old ENIAC room size computer.
Yeah.
And you now have more computing power in the palm of your hand than there was in an entire room. Well, the nanobots of today are so small, and yet they can do so much more than the nanobots of, say, the late 30s when they first started to introduce them.
Yeah.
What are you wanting the nanobots to do? Like, what is your ultimate goal? I mean, besides like pranking people in your prank line, like what is, when you put them in your friend's body, like, how do you know it works? What is it accomplishing?
Well, I use very specific programming, and I see whether it actually takes hold. So I'll invite a friend over who normally doesn't do anything. Let's use your example. Normally doesn't pick their nose. And I will program it to, have them pick their nose on a sort of pre-selected time system. So pick your nose every 10 minutes. And then I just observe. And like I said, sometimes the human body tears down, particularly as the nanos have gotten smaller, they become more vulnerable. So that's something I'm constantly fighting. So somebody might pick their nose for, 3.5 hours, and then all of a sudden it sort of tapers off, and then they go back to their previous behavior. Now, some of my hope is the behavior becomes sort of ingrained, because as the longer the nanobots are in the system, the more they interact with the cellular DNA.
They might end up building a habit out of sort of this learned behavior.
They actually, they're actually teaching at a molecular level.
Wow.
So you're saying if I can get my neighbor to pick his nose every 10 minutes, his wife would leave him? Is that what you're saying?
If you think that ratio will work. I mean, how long would he have to be picking his nose every 10 minutes? At the current rate of technology, I could probably get him to do it for 5 or 6 days, and then it's going to break down. And that's not enough time. It takes about 3 weeks for the cellular connection between the nanobots and the molecular structure of the DNA begin to cross over.
Well, you say it's not enough time, but it's enough time for me. I feel like in 5 or 6 days, his life is just ruined at that point. Wife's gone, no job. I feel like that is fine.
The government will be after him. Yeah,
I can definitely help you. I can definitely help you with that if you think that's a done deal. But doctor, to get back to your question, ultimately, I mean, I think you guys know where I'm going with this. I've tried to dance around it, but super soldiers.
Yeah, no, I could tell that this is.
Oh yeah, that definitely seemed like where this was headed, was building sort of an army of soldiers. Now, is this for military use or your own personal use?
I personally have no use for super soldiers. I mean, in my own life, I mean, what do? I get up in the morning, I go to the grocery store, I stock shelves, I go get something for lunch at, a restaurant, I go home at night. What do I need a super soldier for? But
well, they could mow your lawn really fast because they're really
then I'll
strong.
Then I can make a super gardener, but I don't need a super soldier to do that. See? So yeah, ultimately a governmental contract would be the way to go. And that's kind of what I'm aiming for, but it's just taking time to kind of ramp up.
Are you in talks with anyone about like selling these?
Do anybody from the government watch or listen to your podcast?
Oh, not the kind that has money.
Laura Bush did.
Okay, yeah. But like I think we had some episode that she got really turned off by a while ago. She thought that, so we didn't get Shaq in the recording, and she was really frustrated. We advertised that it was Shaq, and anyway, classic Laura Bush situation though.
Yeah. So anyway, I'm doing podcasts now. I'm trying to get the word out.
Yeah, and that's the best way.
Well, I'll tell you, if you ever decide you have an idea to go to the Pentagon, say, and sell them your idea, it's very difficult to get in the door. I mean, I have tried.
I can attest to that. Yeah, I've tried emailing the Pentagon. I mean, probably once a week my entire life.
Wow.
With just ideas and like pitches and stuff. And it's
gotten you where?
I don't hear anything back.
Well, try going there in person. I'll tell you, you do not get past the front door. They always say, well, who are you here to see? And I always go, I should have looked people up. If I just go to if I go to LinkedIn, I could probably find people that are in the military stationed in the Pentagon, and I could say I'm here to see Colonel Jenkins or whatever, and at least get in the door.
Well,
or go get coffee with them?
I was about to say, why not put nanobots in their drink and then change their behavior where they're like, oh, okay, that's fine. We'll let you in the front door.
So right now I'm working on a way to sort of like work my way up literally the chain of command, right?
Oh, wow.
Try and get to know either somebody on the loading dock or a low-level functionary, run into them. I mean, there's got to be at least 20 Starbucks and Pete's coffees around the Pentagon area.
Yeah.
So I just have to kind of identify my targets and begin sort of the process.
The process, yeah. Like that's good, but I'm also seeing how the super soldiers can be I guess the government's always looking for that kind of thing, at least in every movie I've seen.
Yeah, that's where I got the idea.
Yeah. So I hate to just kind of switch gears here, but we have chores to do.
Okay.
And I feel like this is such an awkward time for me to throw this in, but like we have to do them.
Can I just say one thing though? If you're working up your chain of command in the Pentagon, if you could make like Mitch McConnell or someone like that pick their nose a bunch, I mean, they'd be removed from their job.
But you're shaking the pillars of power.
Oh, what? This isn't fair democracy because we're manipulating it. Everyone else is manipulating it, Dr. London.
It's not a bad idea. Now, I'm not political by nature, but I certainly know there's things that could be fixed in this country. And I don't doubt that nanobots is at least one avenue to be explored for solutions to those problems. And I hadn't thought about the nose picking as sort of a way to tear down some of the power structure, but you may not be wrong.
It would tear down the fabric of society, honestly.
It would tear down the fabric of his nasal passages for sure.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
That might be the worst of them all.
I was uncomfortable with transitioning before, but now I want to switch.
I'm so sorry. I know this is
not.
Yeah, I hear you.
It's disturbing.
This isn't appropriate.
I get it. Do you want to explain what we're talking about at all?
Yeah, if you could.
So Dr. London and I have been neglecting everything on our to-do list. We have let chores pile up, literally just huge piles of neglected chores. And so we decided to build this fun chore wheel, and we spin it every single weekend. Whenever it lands on, we have to do it. And Dr. London, that means even cutting your pinky toe off. If it lands on it, you have to do it.
Wait, that's a chore?
Yeah, well, I forgot to do it.
Dr. London hasn't done it this year. And so...
Does it grow? Wait, this year, does it grow back and you get to do it like every year?
So far... no, this year's the first year of trying it, but like it seems like it might be growing.
We're worried it's getting too long, and I think we need to just trim it down.
Just nip it in the bud.
Might be one of those things that if you keep cutting it back, it's just going to make it grow more and more.
So that's true. Well, and that's one reason I've been putting it off. But
I mean, this could be like that Fantasia movie with Mickey Mouse and the brooms and buckets of water and stuff. Just going and
escalating.
Going. Yeah.
Let's just hope that it doesn't come up on the chore wheel. That's what I'm thinking.
How many chores are on this wheel? It sounds like you've got a lot of stuff.
18,000, I think, at this point.
I believe that's when we stopped counting, was 18,000. So,
wow. Yeah. Well, I'm not a mathematician, but I think the odds of you getting the pinky toe on this spin is probably unlikely.
Like 1 out of 18,000 at least, yeah.
At least.
So we got this giant thing. It's such a big wheel. Would you mind giving it a spin for us?
Yeah.
Me?
Yes, doctor. Yeah.
Okay,
just
do it. Do I spin
as our guest? If you would.
No, I'd be.
We
I'd be
wanted to be
honored.
unbiased.
I'd be honored, of course. Now, do I spin this clockwise or counterclockwise?
That dealer's choice on that. I mean, I've never seen it go counterclockwise. I don't know I don't know what would happen. I don't know if that will conjure something we can't undo.
Oh, well, I'll just go with the popular flow. I mean, I couldn't tell by looking at it which way it spins. That's all. So,
okay.
All right. I'll just give this thing a shove, I guess.
Yeah.
Oh no! Of course, it landed on this.
Great. This and of all. Okay. Yeah,
I'm tired of having to help out the mayor. If you're a new listener to this show, the mayor is constantly breathing down our next about everything, planning his birthday party and all this stuff. So we've already planned the birthday party, but now he wants us to form a band to play at his birthday.
It's so frustrating because, like, you know, I've formed bands for so many different birthdays before. I can't do it for every birthday.
Right. You have to have days to yourself.
Yeah.
Well, do you guys have like a pool of musicians you pull from for these things?
Yeah, I think we have. I mean, all of them you can sort of just Google their agents, and then if you sort of like pester that guy enough, they'll just do it. The mayor's very, very well connected.
But when you say form a band, it isn't like you're calling a band to come. You're literally calling different band members and pulling them together.
Oh, yes. We are building our own super group that he actually wants to call the Mayors.
Wow.
Which I feel like that has to already exist in some capacity. Yeah. Like there must already be a band called that, but that's
you
what
figure
he wants.
Up here there was like the Dead Presidents, right? And so it sort of works its way down: the Dead Presidents, the Sleeping Governors,
John Mayer,
and then just the Mayors.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So
do we want John Mayer? I don't really. He's playing that.
Here's the thing: he's gonna want to be the front man, and I don't know if
it's gonna be John Mayer and the Mayors.
Yeah, but that's the thing. See, he's gonna demand that, and I don't think that's gonna work.
Well, and they like it from his description, the mayor wants them all wearing giant sort of paper mache heads of his head. And so it's sort of like, remember that movie Frank? It's sort of like one of those things, but they want every person to be wearing that. So you're not even going to see their face. And I feel like John Mayer is not going to be okay with it.
It's a little bit like the Residents, they wore those giant eyeballs, right? Yeah. Interesting.
Okay. But maybe we can use the nanotechnology as well to help us convince some of these people.
The nanotechnology could be used to get the mayor to realize that he doesn't really want this for his birthday.
Oh, that's a good angle.
That kind of cuts it off at the knees. He'll suddenly,
that is true.
He calls you guys up and say, I was thinking about that mayor thing. I don't think that's for me this year.
Yeah, but if it wears off like after 5 days, then we're going to have to keep doing it over and over again.
Well, when's his birthday?
Oh, it's bi-weekly at this point.
Yeah.
Bi-weekly birthdays? Oh, you got a problem on your hands.
Well, I mean, you're telling me. What I'm thinking is we could try both. Like, let's get a band as a backup, but also try to get them to stop it, because the fees and everything alone, like not going through with it, will be helpful if we can.
So let's forget John Mayer for a second. And if you remember, John Mayer used to date Jessica Simpson.
Okay.
And so that's why I think we should recruit Johnny Knoxville, who was in, Dukes of Hazzard with Jessica Simpson.
Yeah.
He goofs around a lot. You know that he's going to be able to handle having that big paper mache head on.
Yes. That's big.
Yep, because of the Jackass movies.
Yes.
Yeah, like he's so used to like wearing weird stuff and large stuff.
Yeah.
I just think he would be a really, really good frontman for his band.
Does he play an instrument?
Ooh, I mean that is that's
secondary.
He could kind of talk sing, those kind of guys, like a Joe Cocker or a Dr. Hook, that kind of thing.
Or we could just nanobot that ability into him, maybe.
Can you use nanobots to make someone's voice good?
That's a fantastic challenge. I mean, I can certainly use nanobots to get people to say specific things, but to get them to say specific things in certain ways,
or just to play guitar, is another idea as well.
Yeah.
I feel like just jumping to, super soldiers is one thing, but also just basic helping people to learn a new skill might be helpful.
That is helpful. It is. I mean, it is a sidetrack from super soldiers because, other than like a Civil War movie where a guy's playing a banjo, while they're kind of like hunkered down after a battle, you don't see soldiers playing instruments all that much.
Yeah.
But I mean, just that idea of being able to train the nanobots to learn how to do those difficult fingerings on the guitar, I think all of that can come in handy later on down the line. So you're kind of opening my eyes to sort of a new avenue here that I could be training these bots to really kind of pick up some useful skills that can then be combined up into the super soldier program.
Okay.
Yeah. So it sounds like we've got a super soldier Johnny Knoxville playing guitar and on lead vox.
Okay.
So, what's next? What about a drummer? So someone who'd be really good at hitting drums.
Well, how about I hate to go here, but Ringo Starr. I mean, he's they've got this Get Back documentary on Disney Channel now, so he's back in the public eye.
Yeah, that is very true.
Isn't he famously not that good at drumming?
No, he was famously a very good drummer. I mean, that's why they picked him up. He wasn't good at much else.
Yeah, it's just, I don't know. It's just like Ringo. It's just like he's the least cool of the Beatles. I'd go with Pete Best.
Well,
I
guess you're not going to get the celebrity value that you get out of a Ringo.
Is he? Well, what band is he from?
We'd save a lot of money going Pete Best.
So, yeah, now I do feel like you're both limiting the scope quite a bit to just Beatles. And this is the mayor. And once again, we don't want someone who'll steal the show. That's my protest.
Yeah.
Here.
Is there a kid from the high school? Like, do they have a marching band or a jazz band or anything like that?
From the local one?
Yeah.
I think he needs to know that there's someone famous under that paper mache head.
Does he?
Yeah.
Well,
you can let him in on it.
Like,
okay.
Yeah.
Let Johnny?
No, let the drummer kid know there's somebody famous under the head.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Now, does everybody have to wear the heads, or is it just the lead guy wears?
Oh,
the
no,
head?
everyone is.
Oh,
yeah.
Then you don't have to tell anybody who's under any of the heads.
Yeah, it's just
That's
the
true.
mayor is gonna check. That's the thing. So if we're trying to just use a kid from the neighborhood or whatever to play drums.
Oh, I see.
Okay, I think I have something that will kind of satisfy all the elements here.
Yeah.
Let's get Barney to do it.
Ooh, wow, that is a really, really good suggestion.
Yeah.
We know that Barney has rhythm because he loves music.
Mm-hmm.
And his best friend, Bebop or whatever, can really help him learn the songs.
Yeah. And, I don't want to be jumping on the latest trend. And the latest trend is, of course, the Beatles. So if we just stick with, sort of what we all know. Yeah, the classics. Classic
Something
music.
that was going to stand the test of time and actually last,
Yeah. So Barney on drums.
Okay, yeah, easy. So what about
bass?
On bass? Well, my first thought goes towards Robert on Everybody Loves Raymond, because he's got that really deep voice.
But you guys are talking about someone playing the bass.
Yeah, but it would be a lot cheaper if he could just do sort of a beatboxy like mouth noises of just like doom 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 doom.
Yeah,
doom,
that does make sense. And even if he doesn't, I don't know if he sings, but surely he could.
I'm sure he can.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Brad
Garrett. Do we want Brad Garrett or do we want Robert from Everybody Loves Raymond? Because Brad Garrett doesn't have that deep voice. He talks differently. So we've got to tell him, no, you are in character for this entire night.
I think so.
As Robert. And you need to get up on stage and you need to go doom, 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 doom.
You may have to tell him personally, because I don't know if you just send a note to his agent or something, they might just toss it in the wastebasket. I think you need to get him there under the pretext of he's doing a show as Brad Garrett, and then just say there's been some changes. And first put this head on. And
right.
Put this huge head on and then put on this exact outfit that you wore.
And then be the character of Robert.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that sounds pretty.
I mean, if he's there, what are the chances he's going to just leave? He still wants the check.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I think we nailed it. Okay. So we have the front man. Yeah.
We have Johnny Knoxville, Barney,
and Robert.
Robert.
Robert from Everybody Loves Raymond. And then, I mean, do we want one more, like someone on keys or something?
Yeah. I was thinking of keys or flute.
Could we get
either way?
Could we get like Susan Day from from the Partridge Family, the old Partridge Family? She played keyboards, I think, or maybe she just played tambourine. I can't remember.
Honestly, it's gonna sound the same at this party, because something we forgot to mention. The mayor does pump his own. He has his own music going on, so he's gonna be trying to play that over the sound of the band.
Wow.
So it doesn't
doesn't matter. Kind of.
Well, he'll notice.
It's really important for him to have a main stage and a side stage and know that the main stage is drawing a bigger crowd.
Gotcha.
So that's why
I got you.
He does this sort of, Coachella style multi-stage setup.
Sure.
But yeah, Susan on the tambourine or keyboard, depending on what she can do.
That way, you have a woman in there, a little bit more inclusivity.
Hey, do we want to double up on Susan's and get Susan Boyle?
Yes.
Get her playing another flute?
Or just sing backup?
I kind of want her on flute.
Okay. Does she play flute? I've never seen her play the flute.
Oh, I bet she'd nail that. I bet she'd be great.
But you're also talking probably, I think, a transatlantic flight. I think she lives in England.
Ooh,
well,
yeah.
I mean, if we're gonna get Barney, we might as well. Like, I know it's the cost is gonna be high for that, but for the mayor especially,
she's had so much work done. When the mayor lifts that head, is he even going to recognize Susan Boyle? She's not singing. She's on flute, and she looks pretty different from when, her heyday of being famous for being this, fairly ordinary looking English woman.
Right.
So is
the mayor going to notice? I can never really tell what he is able to see and not.
His vision's he's cataracts.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess that's the best way to put it. Yeah.
Get them put in.
Maybe get it.
But that's the thing, is that he claims like he can't see things. He'll be like, who is that? Who am I talking to? But then like the next day he'll be like, see that sign like 200 yards away.
So you think he's sandbagging? That's just part of his technique to kind of make you feel like he needs help. He needs people to lean on and things like this.
I guess, but then why go out of your way to read a sign 200 yards away, and then for the sole reason of being able to read it? He just says, "Hey, I can read that. It's really far. I can read it."
Maybe he has like cataracts that just have like a little pinhole in him. So like if he's positioned just right, he can kind of see that 200 yards.
That actually might be it.
I mean, just as a little side note, I don't know if it relates, but he does have me take him on drives the day before any given social event, and has me read the signs out loud wherever we're about to go. I don't know if that's related or not.
So he is sandbagging. He's memorizing the sign. So when Cameron's with him and he sees that red octagonal sign, he goes, "Oh, that says stop."
Well, I don't know if it's related, but we do go on these long drives, and like he writes stuff down, like whatever we're saying, he writes it down. But it's probably nothing. It's probably unrelated. Okay, so we have the flute, we have the Susans.
Yeah, I mean, I think Johnny Knoxville, Barney, Robert from Everybody Loves Raymond,
and the two Susans.
Yeah, that's the band.
The Mayors.
Okay, the Mayors.
That's them.
I think that's great. Okay,
all right.
So that's
job accomplished.
Sure done.
All right, so
down to 17,999.
Yeah, easy. Now, Dokter Minutiae, if you wouldn't mind destroying that chore wheel, that's kind of also part of it, because once we get one done, it kind of ruins the whole schematic of it.
Sure. It's my pleasure.
I don't know if you can release nanobots to destroy it, if that's a thing.
Ooh, that would be very nice.
Yeah, let me see what I got in the old pocket, the old nano pocket.
It's good to always have something in the pocket that could potentially destroy.
These are kind of, I guess you could kind of repurpose these as termite bots.
Okay, good. Yeah.
So they'll at least take out the wooden part of the sign. Anything else is going to survive, but at least it'll kind of get rid of sort of the super
lettering.
Yeah.
That's the big part anyway.
Okay.
And you keep like a handful of those in your pocket, or?
Well, you know how Batman has like a utility belt?
Yeah, sure.
I've got one of those fishing vests, and I like to think it's kind of the same thing. And each pocket has different kinds of bots, and the ones that holds like the fishing lures, there's like 24 different kind of bots in little tubes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Because I never know. Yeah, I never know who I'm going to run into, when I'm having coffee. So I need to kind of make sure I'm mixing it up. So
it's your utility vest.
Yeah. So let me pull out these termite bots, and I'll just turn them loose in here. And they work pretty quick once they kind of get the.
They're going fast.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. They're on it. Oh, and that's it. Where do they go now? Oh, they're just crawling right back into your pocket.
Yep.
That's cool.
Yep. If I stay in the area, they'll come back. They're programmed to do that. If I leave the area, this whole building could be dust. in a matter of hours.
Okay.
Do we want to do that?
No,
for the podcast. Okay.
No, I don't see that being helpful. I saw the look in your eye, Cameron. No, we don't need that. That could actually be, that could be bad for us.
Oh, okay.
But with the chore done, I think we're kind of just wrapping up here. So thank you so much, Dr. Minutiae, for coming on.
My pleasure. Absolutely.
For sharing about your new book and your older book. Is there any way for our listeners to keep up with you or anyone you're a fan of?
Yeah, they, I listened to this one podcast. They call it a soundcast for some reason. I don't know why. They're like trying to start a movement. There I go with my air quotes again, but
it's this gluten-free soy. Oh man.
Succotash Show at succotashshow.com. I've been on 1 or 2 times. They don't know that. But I like listening to that. And you can reach me through the show. If you send them stuff like to their socials, they'll send it along to me, because I oftentimes will take the co-hosts and the producers out for coffee.
Okay.
Oh, cool. That's very similar to how I get my mail, which is I get it sent to This American Life and then they forward it to me. I found that's the most sort of convenient way to get mail.
That's great. It's always nice to have friends that help you.
And it's faster than his older method. But yeah,
having it sent directly to Ira Glass's house first, and then having him forward it to me. Yeah.
All right. Well, so thank you so much to Dr. Minutiae. Thank you to our producer Cameron. Thank you to Digital in the House. Digital in the House. Yeah. Well, he's the best DJ in town.
My hope is that the behavior becomes sort of ingrained. The longer the nanobots are in the system, the more they interact with the cellular DNA. They're actually teaching at a molecular level. Yeah, they're actually teaching at a molecular level.
If you could make, like, Mitch McConnell removed from their job. If you could make, like, Mitch McConnell removed from their job.
You're shaking the pillars of power.
Mitch McConnell.
You're shaking the pillars of power.
Oh, what? This isn't fair democracy because we're manipulating it? Everyone else is manipulating it. Everyone else is manipulating democracy. Mitch McConnell is manipulating democracy. John Mayer is manipulating democracy. Jessica Simpson is manipulating democracy. Robert on Everybody Loves Raymond is manipulating democracy. And so that's why I think we should recruit Johnny Knoxville. Mitch McConnell is manipulating democracy. Mitch McConnell is manipulating Mitch McConnell is manipulating democracy. And so that's why I think we should recruit Johnny Knoxville.